Just being able to get my feet wet again and, learn from those who done it at the high levels and, just following them being that sponge, it feels great to be back on the field.
Does it feel like things have really been kind of clicking for you this last week or so of camp? Seems like the ball's been finding a lot.
Yeah, a little bit. It kind of, all goes in. Mentally, you gotta get on the board and, try to, dial in on that mental aspect. It's a lot to it rather than just going out there and, just having your physical ability to execute plays. You gotta know what you got and what you want to do in, certain yard marks. So I feel like, just being dialed in and, like I said before, learning from those older guys on, certain spots and how to read some kind of, different coverages and techniques. That's kind of, helping me out a lot to sharpen my game.
You're getting a lot more experience working with Sam out there. What goes into trying to develop a chemistry with a new quarterback, particularly when you're now playing a different level and now getting all these opportunities? How do you feel about where your rapport is at with him?
Yeah, I'm still learning, and we're still trying to get on that same wavelength. Like I said, I'm the youngin coming in, and I've watched Sam, and he's been doing his thing at the league. So I ask him a whole lot of questions. I'm asking him what he's looking for, his timing, his feet work, so I can make sure I'm in the best spot position for him, and just to make sure we're on that same connection without actually being that like verbal on the field, so that just come with practicing and taking time, and at the end of the day, when we go and meet, I ask a whole lot of questions. My mom always said it never hurts to ask questions, so I pick everybody's brain.
Do you feel like the knee is totally in the past now, or are you kind of back to 100%, or what?
Yeah, I feel like the knee thing is kind of in the past. The training staff, they did a great job with me, and we still stay on top of it to this day, and it's just something that you kind of just got to stay on top of, and it's been helping me out a lot. So when I go out there on the field, the knee is the last thing, like the last of my words. I just go out there and perform.
How close or far from 100% were you during that 4-4?
Yeah. So when I was training, at Excel in Orange County, I got cleared, I want to say, 2 to 3 weeks before the combine, and the trainer was like, "Hey, we're gonna work, and we're gonna see how bad you really want to go run at the combine." And they gave it to me real. They was like, "It's gonna be hard, but we believe with your competitive mindset you can go do it." So it was quite a push, and I wasn't 100%. I wasn't even 70%. So that just goes to my competitive nature of going out there and seeing those other guys run, and just me getting a couple runs during my training. I felt like I could just go out there and just kind of wing it. We sharpened up my technique a little bit. Couldn't do too much because I didn't have much time, and at the end of the day, I just kind of just went out there and ran.
Did you run again?
No, I did not. I did not. I was kind of mad at the combine that I ran the 4.41. I knew I had 4.3 in me, but at the end of the day, the knee wasn't all the way there yet. But I did want to show those scouts and people that I am a competitor, and I've been on top of my rehab game, and I'm still on top of it. And now I feel like the knee is not even an issue, so I feel great.
What did you learn about yourself in the last years, going through an injury, with the timing of that before the draft and everything? Just what'd that teach you?
Yeah, I just feel like it's more than just the on-field aspect of the game. It's a huge mental toll to be out for that long and out for the season. Of course, it being my senior year and my 5th year, I wanted to come back and achieve some things. We did achieve one of those things, which was going to a bowl game, but it kind of puts you in a dark place. And I have a pretty good fan base. Shout out to them. They kind of kept me well grounded and just safe and just heard. So I kind of just found that just that mental. I don't know, just like that mental circle for me to just, stay at it. And it kind of just showed me that, you gotta find, a different drive. It's not always on the field. So, I kind of looked at my, just my rehab at a different level. I looked at my studying at a different level. I was still studying, defenses and some of the plays while my team was still playing, even though I couldn't, physically be out there or travel with them during that time. Just on the TV, I was, just trying to call out defense and, the reads and things like that. And, now when I, watch film and study and when I ask questions, I'm asking all those because, that all that plays a part and you want to be on the same wavelength.
Having gone through all that, how cool was it Saturday when you're in Lumen Field? There's fans there and everything. I mean, it's like kind of I guess got to that.
It was amazing. I do a lot of praying, and I thank God. He deserves all the credit. He's always been watching over me. And it was just a blessing to be back on the field and at this level I'm at now. That's something you could just dream of. And at the end of the day, I just try to go out there, put my best foot forward, make the best out of the opportunities. If that's special teams, if that's just going out there, picking up a block, I want to do it to the best of my ability, because at the end of the day, this is all I dreamed of. And when I was a kid, I said I'd do anything to get to this spot. So, you kind of living that dream, and I'm going day by day, just trying to get better every day.
Where you've been able to stack a bunch of practices now together, where you're fully healthy and really get immersed in this offense. So, what do you love about this offense in terms of how you fit into it now that you've had a chance to actually run a lot of team reps?
I feel like it's a great spot for me. Just getting more dialed into the playbook. You kind of slow things down in your head. It's a lot of things that we got in this offense, and we got a lot of weapons, and it's just a lot of shifts and movements, and deep kind of routes and things like that, and just intermediate. You kind of get a lot of it, and Clint, he's a hell of an OC, and he know what he's doing for sure, and it's a great. I feel like it's a great offense for me to fit in, and of course we got Coop, Jax, MVS, Bobo, all those guys who play key roles in this offense, and just me coming from to OTAs, just learning behind those guys. You see this offense is going to open up, and it's going to be a lot of huge and big plays, and it's a lot of players who can make those big plays.
How do you see yourself really making an impact? Like, do you see yourself as more of a kind of stretch the field kind of guy, more of an underneath guy?
I don't really know so far. I feel like I just kind of go out there and just try to be the best version of me. If it is underneath, I'm gonna go 110%. If it's deep routes and I gotta take the top off and just clear it up for the underneath or the intermediate routes, I do that too. So I feel like the roles ain't really kind of it's not really solidified yet. And the special thing about Clint offense, you could be anywhere, everywhere, at any time. So like I said, I'm still learning the offense, and blessed to be with Jackson, all those vets, and Coop. So learning a lot from Coop and them, and how to just kind of study those plays, and I don't know, just connect. You're right.
There's something you could emulate from Cooper and from Jackson. Steal something from them skill-wise. What would you choose to do?
Coop's shiftiness and his creativity in his routes. That every time I watch him at practice, I'm just like, damn, I gotta put that in my bag. He got some crazy top of the route moves, and I'm always asking him how he's reading leverage and things like that. Like I said, I'm just that sponge. I'm gonna ask a lot of questions, and just his decisiveness on the field, and just how smart and aware he is on the field. And then with Jax, he's a shifty player. He's real shifty, and he has a quick trigger release, and just his ball skills. He's ball friendly. If you watch him on the field, he's always friendly to the quarterback. He has strong hands, and I've been picking his brain a lot too. And he kind of just told me it's a focus thing, and you secure first before you make that move, and it just shows your legs kind of take over at that point, and you rolling now. So I feel like those attributes right there, I like them a lot from them.
What are you looking forward to from your first preseason game this week?
I'll probably say executing. At the end of the day, I want to be perfect. It's hard to be perfect, but that's just the chip I have, and mistakes are going to happen. But if I have a mistake, the mistake is going to be 100%. And I watch film every day to perfect my craft, and just be in the best position, and just the best version of me out there on the field. It's going to be my first time being back playing wise. So I'm fired up. I'm excited. So just trying to dial in and make sure I'm getting everything tightened up and got them screws tied. So.
Hoping to do some returns too, or I mean, we'll probably see you doing kind of both punt and kick returns.
Yeah, punt return. Probably be back there getting some of those in. Been learning from a great return, Steve Sims. Picking his brain back there. Like I said, yeah. So just picking his brain and learning from him, making sure I'm getting in the right spot. I'm catching it, centered up and things like that, and just how to read, gunner and things like that. So.
We saw Derek Hall speak to the team after first. What was the gist of that?
Yeah, it was just all love. We had a little bit of an incident, but at the end of the day, we love each other, and we have a strong, team chemistry. So it wasn't really none much. He just kind of cleared the air. It looked bad out there, and it was nothing like that. Full accountability, and everybody moved on. So it was a great, just a great speech.
Garrett on said that he thinks that you'll end up being the steal of the draft. What does that kind of phrase mean?
I don't know. I kind of been hearing that a lot. I kind of stay away from the media. I just kind of been dialed in and focused on myself. Me hearing that, it's a little bit of a motivation for me.
Look at that mountain of a man. Sheesh. You feeling good? Looking good? Playing good? What's happening?
Yeah, I mean, it's camp. We're in the thick of it. I mean, just the biggest thing is just continue to come out day after day and try to get better and get as many reps as you can.
Hold on a second, Abe. It's camp? Like, what are we, 1 week? We were 1 week today. I mean, go back to your Sacagawea middle school days with the grass up to your knees over there in Pullman, with the sand and the hoses and that with Captain Leach, that was camp.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no, that is true. I mean, it always goes through my head. It's like, listen, if I could do that, I could do anything. Yeah, those were the days, though. But no, we're having a good camp so far. I think as a team, everybody's locked in, dialed in, and trying to get better. So,
I'm sure you're sick of talking about it, but just physically, how much better are you feeling this year?
Way better. I mean, it's pretty night and day. I'm out practicing this year, which is great. It's a stark contrast from last year. But no, I feel good. I feel ready to go. Just gonna stay on top of things as much as I can and move forward.
Without violating HIPAA or anything here, I think that it's been sort of debunked, but I want to make sure I just ask you about it because we haven't had a chance to talk to you since, and I've just always had it in the back of my mind that at one point Pete dropped the word chronic in talking about the knee, and that's always just sort of stuck with me ever since. And then it seems like Mike kind of said, well, it's not really chronic. That's not really the right way to describe it. Is this a chronic knee injury, or is it something that's now behind you?
I wouldn't describe it as chronic either. I mean, I'm not going to say too much on it, but, I got it fixed. I mean, people know I had surgery on it, so I got it fixed, rehabbed it. Rehab never really stops with anything that you do as a professional athlete, so I will continue to rehab for as long as my career goes, and just move forward from there and just keep getting the reps on it and feeling good about it.
What does that look like, rehab, now, at this point, now that it's over? And I'm sure it was hell while you were going through it at the beginning. What does it look like now?
It's just a lot of adaptation, I would say. So, to get stronger and to keep things stronger, you have to lift stronger and do more, I guess, strenuous activities. So that's what I've been doing. That's what I'll continue to do. And want to keep the strength around, so we'll keep lifting heavy and recovering the right way.
Abe, I think the first time I met you, you were about 245 pounds at Archbishop Murphy. The great Jerry Jensen, Chris Sullivan, friends of mine, and we were at a luncheon there. I got to shake your hand, and then you go to Pullman. We referenced your training camps there with Mike Leach, and just grew into an all-conference performer there at tackle, and already, gosh, this is year 4 in the NFL for you. Is you kind of look at that journey from as just kind of the local guy from Archbishop to Wazoo to now the Seahawks? How do you just kind of characterize the last decade of your walk through this game of football?
I mean, I'm really lucky, really fortunate. I know some people don't believe in luck, but just kind of the way everything fell into place for me, I do feel like I'm very fortunate that it all happened the way that it happened. I mean, I know the kind of caliber player I am. I know that I work hard. I know that I love it. But some things it just it seems like God's looking out for you in certain types of ways, and I was so fortunate to be able to get drafted by the hometown team after staying in state to go to college, and it's something I'll always eternally be grateful for.
You get a new offensive system, specifically on the offensive line. It sounds like there's a lot more zone blocking. How different is this system from last year?
I mean, it's totally different. It's an entirely new offense. So, like you said, zone blocking, a lot of wide zone based Kubiak system. It really, I think what it allows us to do as O-linemen is open up and use our athleticism to run. And is different from like more of a traditional style offense in that it's not just strictly like gap and power scheme stuff. I mean, that's there, but it's gonna be fun. It'll be a fun offense to watch. It'll be a fun offense to grow in.
Do you, leading into that, knowing that there's more, as you said, running, do you work out and sort of tailor your body to that system, or is everything business as usual?
I mean, it's more business as usual, I would just say. I mean, our bodies are going to adapt to the offense and to the style of offense that we have, so we're going to get used to running off the ball. I mean, when we train and stuff, that'll help, but it's all in the adaptation. Like, there's nothing super specific that we have to do except for just practice what we're going to do.
The great Abe Lucas here with us. I have a sense that maybe Coach Benton and Mike Leach would have really enjoyed their time together.
Yeah,
am I right in that sense?
I think so. I mean, from what I remember, it was like a little interview that Leach gave where he was talking about offensive linemen and just how much he loved offensive linemen. And I think he made the comment that if football didn't have offensive linemen, it would just be like soccer. And he said that, offensive linemen are the guys who, they dislocate their fingers and they laugh about it. It's like that sort of thing is funny to them, and that's what makes football go and football great. And I think Benton would have loved that. So I do agree. I think they would have enjoyed their time together and been very successful together.
You laugh at a dislocated finger?
Probably, yeah.
I've talked to Salk about just the institutional knowledge, because this isn't just Coach Benton, right? You have Rico there as well. You have people that have been just immersed in this system, Abe, not for years, but for decades doing it. Like that, they made their livelihood doing it. Do you feel that? As you're presented this new offense, as you're all learning, do you feel that kind of groupthink and that institutional knowledge that's come in the building?
I do, yeah. It's amazing. I mean, it's amazing to see people who are like very, very knowledgeable about anything in life. And these guys know the offense inside and out, and they can talk about it just on the run, willy-nilly, and just talk about any little minute detail that's within there. And that's, what we're all trying to get to so that we can all understand this offense. And, I mean, like you said, decades of experience, and that comes with decades of experience, is knowing all the ins and outs of something. So we'd be fools to not listen to them and not take what they're giving us.
At this level that you're at, and Brock kind of referenced your whole journey through high school and college, at this level, what moves the needle more for an offensive lineman? Is it the size and strength, or is it that technique and the way you're utilizing the size and strength?
I just think it's a combination of both. I mean, there's a lot of different types of players that exist in the NFL. And there's very few players who can have like successful careers just strictly based off of athleticism. They're very rare. They exist, but they're very rare. You have to come with some sort of technique and some sort of finesse, I would say. Now, obviously, you want to be strong. Obviously, you want to be athletic, but it's combining the two. And I would say that, if you had to pick one or the other, if I had to pick one or the other as an offensive lineman, I would lean more so towards the technician part of it all, because technique can save you a lot of time. There's a lot of guys who aren't necessarily the biggest, the fastest, or the strongest, but they're technical masterminds, and that saves them, and they've been able to create long careers out of that.
Do you guys enjoy the one-on-one drill as much as the herd media that just runs over there and sprints and can't miss one single rep when they get the pads on and do one-on-one pass rush drill? Or is it just miserable for an offensive lineman?
The way I look at it is like one-on-ones is a very defensive-oriented drill. I mean, it's one guy against one guy. They're working with a lot of space. They can do anything. The only advantage we have there is the snap count. But the great thing about one-on-ones for an offensive lineman is that you're so exposed that it's going to expose the weak parts of your game and the things that you need to improve on the most. And that's what we need. It's what we need as offensive linemen. We have to be shown what we're doing poorly so that we can improve at it. And then, when we do win those one-on-one reps, show us what we're doing well on that island while we're exposed with just the person.
You had it tough over there, though. I mean, DeMarcus Lawrence and Derek Hall both rushing from that side, and Lawrence looks like he's got a little old man strength in there or something.
Yeah, I mean, D-Law's a beast. He's always been a beast. When we went out and acquired him, I was stoked. I was really, really excited about it because I knew that I was going to be going against him and competing against him, and it was only going to make me better. And he, in my mind, is one of the most complete defensive ends in the NFL, if not the most complete. Like, he stops the run, he knows how to read it, and he's relentless, and he has an arsenal of just pass rush moves dialed in. So, I mean, I'm excited that I get to compete against him every day.
The Seattle Seahawks spent this offseason addressing gaps and strengthening foundations. Management was seemingly methodical. Veterans moved on, a new quarterback arrived, and coaching staff reworked core systems. This is a new version of the Seahawks, influenced by controlled choices and built for durability, believe analysts. Sam Darnold signed a 3-year deal worth over $100 million. Seattle expects leadership, efficiency, and control from his new quarterback. During OTAS, Darnold impressed coaches with how quickly he adapted. His pre-snap reads improved. Besides, Clint Kubiak's system gives him room to work within structure, not chase broken plays. That undoubtedly fits Darnold's progression as a player coming off a breakout season in Minnesota. Geno Smith was traded to the Raiders for a 3rd-round pick, which the Seahawks turned into Alabama's Jalen Milroe. Darnold has the starter's job locked up, but the staff is watching Milroe closely. His athleticism and arm strength could open up future options. For now, Drew Lock holds the backup role and offers continuity in the room. Notably, Seattle restructured its receiver group. Tyler Lockett was released and DK Metcalf went to the Steelers in exchange for draft assets. Those decisions were part of a larger plan. Cooper Kupp signed a 3-year deal. His experience and technical precision give the offense a stable target. Jackson Smith-Njigba steps into a larger role after an encouraging rookie year. On the other hand, Marquez Valdez-Scantling brings vertical speed. River Craycraft and Steven Sims round out the depth chart and contribute on special teams. Charles Cross and Abraham Lucas return as the starting tackles. Their performance sets the edge. Inside, the staff is shaping competition. Gray Zabel is the front runner at left guard. His movement and technique stood out during early camp. Olu Oluwatimi is the projected starter at center. At right guard, Anthony Bradford holds the edge, but still faces pressure from Nick Broker and others. New coaching on the line has made a visible difference. John Benton has chosen to walk with tight hands, pad leverage, and spacing discipline. Camp reps show progress. Even backups are executing more cleanly across zone blocking assignments. Run game coordinator Rick Dennison has also brought clarity to gap schemes that had been inconsistent last year. The Seahawks added DeMarcus Lawrence on a 3-year deal. His experience on the edge should help shape Seattle's front under Mike McDonald. Lawrence's camp reps show control and anticipation, especially against second-unit tackles. Leonard Williams continues to anchor the interior. On the back end, Julian Love remains the primary voice in the secondary. The team extended his deal to secure leadership. Josh Jobe returns as a depth piece, while rookies compete for the final corner spots. Nick Emenwari has made a strong early impression. Coaches praise his instincts and communication. At linebacker, Ernest Jones IV signed in March and now leads the middle of the field. He's responsible for aligning shifts and holding zone depth. The staff is watching him to manage coverage handoffs, which McDonald's system demands. Seattle also added DeAnthony Bell at safety and moved Brady Russell to fullback. Insiders believe that this roster favors versatility. Coaches have used early camp to test players in multiple alignments. Bryce Cabaldo is one example. The rookie lineman has been plugged into right tackle and interior guard sets. He's responded with consistent footwork and clean hand placement. Special teams roles are also being sorted early. Steven Sims looks like a top return option, but undrafted players are still in the mix. Veterans like Jaron Reed and Josh Ross re-signed earlier in the year. Their presence helps stabilize the locker room, especially as younger players take more prominent snaps. The staff is managing reps carefully to avoid early soft tissue injuries, which impacted last year's rotations. Seattle also made a quiet but meaningful addition by signing Thor Griffith on the defensive line. A Harvard product who transferred to Louisville, Griffith brings size and motor to the DT rotation. Justin Rodgers was released to make room. Seattle's off-season work follows a thread. It doesn't overextend, but each piece has a purpose. Darnold gets a system designed for clarity. The receiver group balances reliability with vertical threats. The line has internal competition, and stronger coaching and defense blends known quantities with calculated bets. Subscribe for preseason breakdowns, positional previews, and snap-by-snap analysis as this group takes shape.